Welcome to the Brazilian Portuguese Week. I'm so happy to be with you today. Let me know if you guys can see me and hear me well. Write a comment so I know that you can see me and hear me. I already can see some of your comments. Oi, tudo bem? Oi, Linnea. Oi, Sofia. Oi, Vicky, Jenneth, Ibrahim. Tudo bem, gente? So good to be with you today. So today I prepared a very special class for you. We are going to talk sorry, we are going to talk about past, perfect, and imperfect tense in Portuguese. Is everything okay?
I'm listening twice. No, go ahead.
Okay, just checking if the sound was working well. Is my sound working well for you guys? I'm using a different microphone, so I hope everything is okay. If there is a problem, let me know. Okay, so Yarko says, podemos ver e ouvir? Perfeito, obrigada. Okay, guys, so today the class is also beginner level, but this topic is actually very useful for all levels because it is a very important topic and a complicated topic if you are, especially if you are English speaker, because in English we don't have these two tenses, right? We only have one past tense. In Portuguese, we have two, the perfect and imperfect. So even if your level is intermediate or advanced, you might want to watch this class to review. And maybe you can learn some new tips on how to use these two tenses, okay? So before we start, I have a couple of announcements to make. The first one is that the material for this class is available for download on my website. So I'm gonna share my screen with you so you can see, so I can show you where you can go to download this material. Give me 1 second. So you go to school dot, I'm not sharing my screen. So just go to school.speakingbrazilian.com and click on Brazilian Portuguese Week. And here you see the entire schedule, the entire curriculum, and you'll also be able to download the material that I'm using for class today. Okay, so you can review the content, do the exercises. It is very important to review and do exercises if you really wanted to assimilate the content. Okay, to sign up for this page is completely free. Just go to this website, click sign up for free, and then you have access to the material. Okay, so another important announcement is that during this week, since yesterday until Saturday, my courses are open for enrollment. So this is a very special moment for me because I only open enrollment for my courses 3 times a year. So this is the second time. And if you are interested in learning Portuguese with me and having regular classes and learning, following a curriculum, you are welcome to join one of my courses. I offer 3 main courses, which is the beginner's course, the essential course for beginners. So if you click here, if you go to my page, school.speakingbrazilian.com, and click on the essential course for beginners, you see all the information about my beginner's course. The beginner's course is recommended for those who have never studied Portuguese before, or if you have already studied a little bit but you still need to practice and assimilate the basic content. It is a very complete course and it lasts 3 months, 12 weeks. The course includes a lot of material that you can use to study by yourself and also live classes every week for 12 weeks. Okay, the second course that I offer is the Speaking Brazilian Academy. This course is intermediate level. Classes are 100% in Portuguese and focus on conversation. So this course is recommended for those who already learned all the basic grammar, vocabulary, but you need a place to practice, right? To really speak Portuguese with with a Brazilian, with a native speaker, and other people who are also learning Portuguese. So this is the perfect program for you if you are looking for a place to practice Portuguese, to speak Portuguese, and a program that will help you to become more fluent in Portuguese. Okay, classes are 100% in Portuguese, and You also have access to a lot of material, so you can study by yourself, and one conversation class a week. And the third course that I offer is the pre-intermediate workshop. This program is new. I created this one because I realized that a lot of people did not fit into the beginner course or the intermediate course, because some people already have studied the beginner or the beginner content, but if you have studied everything but you still don't feel comfortable speaking Portuguese, so this is a good course for you, because this course is a brush-up course. It will review all the main points in a very practical way and practice how to use this content in conversation. So if you find yourself in the middle, you have already studied all the basic content but you're still not comfortable in a class 100% in Portuguese, so the pre-intermediate workshop is a good option for you. Okay, so I thought I said the most important information about these courses. You'll find all these options in my website, my school's website, school.speakingbrazilian.com. Okay, so that's it about my courses, guys. Enrollment is open until Saturday, okay, May 2nd. So one more announcement. This is a fun one. I'm also hosting I created a challenge this week on my Instagram account. So after this class, I cannot read all your comments and give you feedback to all of you. So if you want to practice a little bit more after the class, I recommend you go to my Instagram account and record a video of yourself using the content of this class. And if you tag me and you use the hashtag Brazilian Portuguese Week, I'm gonna share your post and give you some feedback, okay? So go to my Instagram account is at Brazilian.speaking, sorry, I forgot the name of my Instagram account. So it is speaking.brazilian.school, speaking.brazilian.school. So go to my Instagram account to participate on this challenge, and so we can record your video and practice a little bit more and receive some feedback from me, okay? So let's get started with the class. I see you guys have a lot of comments going on here. So I also have Patricia in the chat. She's a teacher at Speaking Brazilian School. She's helping me in the chat, so she's gonna send you the links that you need for the courses or any other questions that you have. She's also gonna help you in the chat, okay? Because I cannot answer all the questions and all your comments. So I'm gonna share my screen with you so we can start the class. So today the topic is pretérito perfeito e imperfeito. So why do you call it, why do you use these names, pretérito, perfeito, imperfeito, right? So weird names. So pretérito means past, right? There is this word in English, but we never use it, right? Preterite. So pretérito significa passado, past. And we have the past perfect in Portuguese and the past imperfect. Why they are called this way? Because the explanation is simple, even though it is not too simple to use these tenses, but it means that the past perfect tense, it is used for specific actions. So it is it's perfect because it is very specific. It happened at a very specific time. It was one action that was completed in the past. Okay, it is a past perfect. And then we have the imperfect past, and this one is more complicated. As the name says, it is imperfect. It is not very clear. There is not a clear moment. It is not one specific action. So we use the imperfect tense to talk, for instance, about a habit that you used to have in the past, or to talk about things that you did repeatedly in the past, or to describe something that happened in the past. I'm going to give you a lot of examples so you understand how to use these two tenses. So I see that people are asking about the Instagram. Oi, artist temple. I'm going to talk a little bit more about the Instagram at the end, so I'm just to put it here. So on Instagram, I'm doing like a challenge. It's a challenge, Brazilian Portuguese Week challenge. So my account is speaking.brazilian.school. So this is my Instagram account. If you don't follow me yet, go to Instagram and start following me. I give some tips there, and every time you tag me, I answer you and give you some feedback on your videos. So the challenge is to record a video of yourself saying one sentence in past perfect tense and one sentence in past imperfect tense. So record a video and share the video on Instagram, tag Speaking Brazilian School, speaking dot Brazilian dot school, and also use the hashtag Brazilian Portuguese Week. Okay, so do this during this week. I'm posting one new challenge a day, so this is a good opportunity for you to practice a little bit more outside our class. Okay, so this is the information about my Instagram account. Okay, so let's move on. Let's start talking about the past perfect tense. So I'm going to talk a little bit about each one of them and help you to understand when to use one or the other. Okay, so past perfect tense, as I said, it is used to talk about specific moments, specific actions that happened in the past. It at a specific time. It is a defined time. So, por exemplo, na semana passada, I'm going to bring this up so you can read. Na semana passada, eu estudei português. So this is very specific, right? Last week, I studied Portuguese. Na semana passada, eu estudei português. Okay, it was one action that I did last week. Próximo exemplo. No sábado passado, eu comi pizza. Sábado passado, eu comi pizza. Also a very specific action at a very specific moment, right? Ontem, eu assisti a um filme. Ontem, eu assisti a um filme. So here also specific action at a specific moment. Okay, so all these examples show very clearly how we use past perfect tense. So let's review the conjugation briefly. I don't want to spend a lot of time talking about conjugation, but I brought three verbs using the regular verbs, so you see how you conjugate these verbs, and it is very important to pay attention to the way you pronounce the conjugation of these verbs. Okay, so the first verb is falar. So all regular verbs ending in AR, they are conjugated the same way. They have these endings. Okay, so eu falei. So note that the stress of the conjugation of a verb in past tense, the stress is at the end. Eu falei. Present tense, eu falo. Falo. Past tense, eu falei. Falei. So this is important. Pay attention to the stress. Okay? Eu falei, eu comi, eu assisti. So depending on the ending of the verb, if it is AR, ER, or IR, the conjugation changes. So these verbs are all regular, but it is important to know if you cannot say fali, okay? It has to be falei. And verb comer, it cannot be comei, okay? It has to be comi. Comi, assisti. Let's focus on first person today because I don't want you to be confused with too many conjugations. Let's focus on the first person. Eu. Eu falei, eu comi, eu assisti. The stress always at the end. Let's see the conjugation now of the main, of 4 irregular verbs, the most common ones. Of course, there are a lot of irregular verbs in Portuguese. So these are the most important ones. Ser, ir, estar e ter. Eu fui. Eu fui. What? It is the same. Yes, the conjugation of the verb ser and ir, to be and to go, in past tense is exactly the same. I know it is confusing, but actually it's pretty easy to identify what is the verb you're using according to the context, right? And actually the verb ser, we don't use it much in regular past tense. It is much more common to be used in imperfect tense. I'm going to talk a little bit more about this soon. So verb estar. Eu estive e eu tive. Eu tive. So pay attention to the pronunciation of these verbs. Fui, estive, tive. Okay? So now let's practice a little bit. I want you to answer these questions to practice past tense, regular past tense, so pretérito perfeito. talking about one thing, one action that you did in the past. So, I see one question, important question here. So Andrew is asking, what are the pronunciation differences between comi e come? The only difference is the stress. The stress. This is very important, okay? The intonation. What is the stress syllable? So past tense, the stress is at the end. So the last I sound is very strong. Eu comi. It's past tense. It means yesterday I ate. Eu comi. Eu comi. Come is present tense for the third person. Né? He, she eats. Ele come. The stress is at the beginning. First syllable is the stressed one, is the strong one. The last E sound is very weak. You can barely listen to it. Ele come. Ele come. Eu comi. Eu comi. Past tense. Ele come. Ele come. Present tense. Ok? The stress makes all the difference. Muito boa pergunta, Andrew. Okay, guys, can you answer these questions? Let's practice. O que você fez ontem? What did you do yesterday? How would you answer this question in Portuguese? Para onde você viajou no ano passado? Where did you travel to last year? Para onde você viajou no ano passado? So leave a comment. I'm going to read some of your comments and give you some feedback. Also, if you have questions about this topic, feel free to ask. Let me see some of your comments, guys. So, okay. So, Sara, ontem eu estive na minha casa o dia todo. Muito bom, Sara. Perfeito. Yesterday I was at home all day. Perfeito. Ontem a gente comprou 12 garrafas de vinho. Wow, Raymel. That's a lot of wine. So yesterday we bought 12 bottles of wine. Ontem a gente comprou 12 garrafas de vinho. Muito bom. Samantha, ontem eu assisti ao seu vídeo. Muito bom, Samantha. So vídeo is a masculine word in Portuguese. So here you would say seu vídeo. Seu vídeo. Muito bom, Samantha. Sina says, eu viajei na Espanha no ano passado. Muito bom. Here, Sina, you are going to use the preposition para. When you're talking about, when you use the verb estar, viajar, ir, to go or to travel, we use the preposition para because you're talking about movement from one place to another. So every time you talk about direction, you are going to use, or destination, right? You're going to use the preposition para. So, eu viajei para Espanha no ano passado. Or, eu viajei a Espanha no ano passado. In this context, both prepositions are accepted. Para Espanha ou a Espanha. Muito bom! Júlia diz, no ano passado, eu viajei à República Dominicana. Excelente, muito bom! O que mais? Pelly says, ontem eu assisti um filme. Perfeito! Yesterday I watched a movie. Ontem eu assisti um filme. Muito bom! Cianino diz, ontem assisti a uma série de TV sozinho. Muito bom. So here you should say série de TV or série na TV, like a TV series or a series on TV. So you have to choose one of these two prepositions. Ontem eu assisti a uma série na TV or ontem eu assisti a uma série de TV. Muito bom. Brent says, eu li um livro em casa. Muito bom. So, if you're talking about your home, you're going to use em casa, the preposition em. Eu li um livro em casa, at home. Muito bom, gente. Edwin says, ontem eu fiz pizza. Uau, que legal, Edwin. I made pizza. Eu fiz pizza. Excelente. O verbo fazer is also irregular. Fazer. Eu fiz. Excelente. Wilder says, ontem eu limpei a minha roupa. Muito bom, eu limpei a minha roupa. Usually we use the verb lavar, like to do the laundry. Eu lavei minha roupa. Eu lavei minha roupa. Muito bom, excelente. E says, ontem eu fiz churrasco. Muito bom. So for the first person, the conjugation is fiz. Fiz with the letter I. Ontem eu fiz churrasco. Muito bom, excelente. Tiara pergunta, ontem eu fiz ou tive uma festa para minha mãe. Qual é o correto? You could use different verbs here. You could say, ontem eu organizei, to organize, eu organizei uma festa para minha mãe. Or eu fiz uma festa para minha mãe. We usually don't use the verb ter in Brazil in this sense. So, fazer is more common. Eu fiz uma festa or eu organizei uma festa para minha mãe. Muito bom. Mais um. Chris diz, ontem eu joguei jogos de computador. Muito bom. Excelente, Chris. Muito bom, gente. Excellent comments. Muito bom. So let's move on. Continue writing your lesson, your comments, because I'm gonna read more comments soon. And if you have questions, also feel free to ask questions. I saw one question here. So no Brasil, o que é churrasco? So churrasco in Brazil, it is similar to the barbecue in the US, but it's different, right? It's the way they make the meat, it is different. So it's a meat culture, right? The way you make a meat. It's called churrasco in Brazil. Very common in the south of Brazil. Muito bom, gente. So let's continue. So because we have a lot of important things to cover. Let's start talking about pretérito imperfeito. So we use pretérito imperfeito to talk about a habit you had in the past, right? Or to talk about, to describe something that happened in the past. We don't use this tense to talk about specific actions that happened at a specific moment. I'm gonna give you examples. Quando eu era criança, eu morava no Brasil. Eu ia à escola todos os dias. Depois da escola, eu fazia o dever de casa. I'm gonna bring this up so you can read the translation too. Okay. So I gave you here a lot of examples actually. All these sentences, they are talking about a habit that I used to have in the past, things that I did many times. I didn't do these actions one time, right? At one specific time. It was a habit. It was my routine when I was a child. So every time we talk about the past, when you start a sentence, when I was, you are going to use imperfect tense in Portuguese, ok? Então, quando eu era, when I was, quando eu era criança, eu morava no Brasil, eu ia para a escola todos os dias, eu fazia o dever de casa, eu brincava com meus amigos, ok? We also use to describe things. So let's see how I describe something using imperfect tense. So continue talking about my childhood. Nos fins de semana, eu ia para a casa dos meus avós. A casa era bonita e tinha um quintal grande. So here's the verb, tinha. Minha avó usava vestido florido e estava sempre sorrindo. Eu e meus primos éramos muito pequenos naquela época. So you see that I'm describing the house. I cannot describe the house in the past using regular past tense because it is not an action, right? The house is not doing anything. I'm just describing the house. And also I'm describing my grandmother, my avó. She's also not doing anything, right? She's just there. I'm just describing her. So I use imperfect tense. And every time you use imperfect tense to describe someone, it is very common to use also verb estar with an adjective, so to describe how someone was feeling. So, minha avó estava sempre sorrindo. Okay? So I have a lot of examples here. I hope you guys can read the Portuguese version and the translation and understand, right? If you guys have questions, let me know. So quintal, can you see the translation, Chiara? Quintal is a backyard or courtyard. Okay. So you can see the text in black is in Portuguese, and right below you see the translation. Okay. So let's take a look at the conjugation really briefly. For the regular verbs, we say, let's focus on the first person, okay? So, eu falava, eu comia, eu assistia. You could also translate these verbs as used to. I used to speak, eu falava. I used to eat, eu comia. I used to watch, eu assistia. Okay, so this is one of the ways that you could translate imperfect tense into English. Let's see the main verbs. Usually, even irregular verbs in Portuguese, they are regular in imperfect tense. We only have 4 conjugations, irregular conjugations, in imperfect tense. So let's see, these are the 4 conjugations that you have to remember that are imperfect. Ser, eu era. Ter, eu tinha. Vir, eu vinha. E pôr, eu punha. The other irregular verbs, they follow the same regular conjugation, always with the ending ava and ia. I have one important comment to make about the conjugation of verbs ending in ava. This is for Spanish speakers. So be careful when you conjugate verbs in imperfect tense. You see that it is written with a letter V, the B corta, right, in Spanish. In some places, I know that there are so many different accents in Spanish, but in Argentina, for instance, they pronounce the V and the B exactly the same way. In Portuguese, it's completely different, guys. I understand that the way we pronounce is similar, but in Portuguese it sounds clearly different for us. So pay attention to that, okay? So when you are saying the verb falava, so the B would be like you have to touch your lips, right? And there is no sound passing when you pronounce the B, ba. But when you pronounce the V, there is air passing through your teeth. Va, ba, va. So pay attention to that. When you use imperfect tense in Portuguese, is the v sound. Okay, there is air passing through your teeth, and you have to write with the letter V. Okay. Okay. So now let's talk. I have a question for you, so let's practice. And while we practice, I'm gonna give you some more tips and also answer some of your questions, okay? So my question for you is: o que você gostava de fazer quando era criança? What did you like to do when you were a child? To answer this question, you have to use imperfect tense. O que você gostava de fazer quando era criança? You can either use verb gostar or another verb that you prefer. Second question for you. Como era a sua casa quando você era criança? Como era a sua casa quando você era criança? How was your home like, your house like when you were a child? Can you try to describe your home, your childhood house using a couple of adjectives in Portuguese and using imperfect tense? This is a challenge for you guys. So write a comment and I'm gonna read some of your comments and I'll see if I find some questions so I can help you to also with your questions. So let's move on to, let me look for your comments. I'm just gonna bring this up so you can read it better. Okay, so question, what is the difference between falava and estava falando? Well, you have to see that in a sentence, okay? Because answering just like the difference between falava and estava falando, the meaning is that falava means spoke and estava falando means were speaking. So we have two verbs. So I'm gonna give you two examples using these two words. For example, quando eu era criança, eu falava com meus amigos todos os dias. When I were a child, I spoke with my friends every day. Quando eu era criança, eu falava com meus amigos todos os dias. But to use estava falando, I have to be... usually we use like when we're using two tenses in one sentence. Por exemplo, eu estava falando com minha mãe quando você chegou. I were talking to my mother when you arrived. Eu estava falando com minha mãe quando você chegou. Ok? Boa pergunta. Let me see if I find more questions. So Seth diz, quando eu era criança, eu gostava de jogar na fazenda do meu pai. Muito bom, Seth, excelente. Let's talk a little bit about the verb jogar. In Portuguese, we have two verbs that have the meaning to play, jugar in Spanish. We have the verb jogar and brincar. Jogar is only used to play a game, so you have to add the name of the game. Por exemplo, jogar futebol, jogar xadrez, jogar videogame, jogar basquete, jogar vôlei, or any other game. It can be a sports game, or it can be a game that you play at home, like a video game. Any kind of game, you can use verb jogar. But if you're talking about to play outside with the kids, with your pets, then we use verb brincar, brincar. So in this context, Seth, I think you should use verb brincar. Quando eu era criança, eu gostava de brincar na fazenda do meu pai. Muito bom! Abraham says, quando eu era criança, eu morava no México e minha mãe tinha... I can see, let me give... Tinha um estilo colonial. Muito bom, excelente, Abraham. Muito bom. Sarah está perguntando, também temos que usar a palavra de em qualquer tipo de passado com o verbo gostar? Sim, Sarah. In Portuguese, remember that you write gostar with the letter O. Gustar is Spanish. Gostar, gostar. And yes, we do have to use the preposition de. So, see that when I asked the question, I said, o que você gostava de fazer? So, you have to use the preposition de right after the verb gostar. It doesn't matter if you're using present, past, or future tense. Muito bom. What else? Ahmed says, jogava futebol com os meus amigos. Excelente, muito bom. Looking for more comments and questions, guys. Stephen says, minha casa era muito limpa porque minha mãe limpava todos os dias. Excelente, Stephen. Just pay attention to the verb limpar and the adjective limpa. There is the letter I... we should drop it. Limpa. L-I-M-P-A. Limpa. Minha casa era muito limpa porque minha mãe limpava. There is no I right after the P. Minha mãe limpava a casa todos os dias. Minha mãe limpava a casa todos os dias. Excelente! Odete diz, eu dançava todas as semanas quando era criança. Muito bom! Eu dançava todas as semanas quando era criança. Excelente! Annalie says, Quando eu era criança, gostava de cantar. Muito bom. I think it is a typo here. I think you meant to add the preposition de. Gostava de cantar. Muito bom. Excelente. Michael Budram says, quando eu era criança, eu joguei futebol. So here, Michael, if you use the regular past tense, joguei, you mean that you played soccer just one time. So, quando eu era criança, one day, one time, eu joguei futebol. If you mean that it was a habit, that you used to do that like regularly, every day or every week, you have to use imperfect tense. So, quando eu era criança, eu jogava futebol. Quando eu era criança, eu jogava futebol. Muito bom! Excelente, pessoal! La Mente says, eu gostava de jogar com os meus amigos e comia muitos sorvetes. Eu era guloso quando era criança. Excelente, excelente. So just here the comment about jogar e brincar. So here, brincar com meus amigos. So when you mean play with my friends, you have to use verb brincar. Eu gostava de brincar com meus amigos e comia muitos sorvetes. Excelente! Muito bom, guys. Looking for questions. Quando eu era mais moço, gostava de andar de skate. Excelente. So this is a very good example. You're talking not about your childhood, but when you were younger, right? Quando eu era mais moço, gostava de andar de skate. Muito bom, Uriel. Excelente. So Fun is asking, do you think it is better to say eu or ele, você, etc. when you use era? So actually it's not a matter of deciding what you want to use. You have to choose the person that you are talking about. So if you're talking about yourself, you have to use the pronoun eu era. Eu era. And when you're using the pronoun, if you're talking about he, you have to say ele era. And if you're talking about you, você, you're going to say você era. The conjugation is the same for all singular pronouns. Eu era, você era, ele era, a gente era. So the conjugation for imperfect tense is actually pretty easy. It's the same for all singular pronouns. Okay, so this is a good thing for you. Muito bom. Nicole diz, minha casa era pequena, mas linda. Muito bom, Nicole. I think here you mean to say but beautiful, right? So you have to use mas without the I. Minha casa era pequena, mas linda. Pequena, mas linda. The word mais with the I means more. The word mas without the I means but. However, the pronunciation when we are speaking informally sometimes is the same. It depends on the accent. Some people say mas e mais. Some people just say mais e mais. So don't worry about the pronunciation, but it's important to write correctly. Mas means but, mais means more. So, muito bom. Como usar pretérito perfeito e imperfeito em uma frase? That's an excellent question, Elton, so I'm going to give you some example now. Just let me drink some water. So I'm going to talk to you guys how to use both tenses in the same phrase, which is the same sentence, which is very, very common. Então, por exemplo, let's pretend I went to a party yesterday. I didn't go to any party, as you guys know. We are all staying at home for a while. But let's pretend I went to a party yesterday. Então, ontem eu fui a uma festa. So yesterday I went to a party. I'm gonna make this letter a little bit bigger so you guys can read it better. Okay, so ontem eu fui a uma festa. So here, I'm going to delete your question. Okay. So here I'm using regular past tense. Why I'm using regular past tense? Because it is one action, right? I went. Eu fui para uma festa. I didn't do this several times. It is a very specific thing that I did in the past. Ontem eu fui a uma festa. Quando eu cheguei na festa, a casa estava cheia. Tinha muitas pessoas. As pessoas estavam felizes. Quando o João chegou, eu estava dançando. So let's come back and review all what I just wrote. Ontem eu fui a uma festa. Regular past tense, pretérito perfeito. One specific action. Quando eu cheguei na festa. Also here, regular past tense, very specific action. Quando eu cheguei na festa. I arrived just once, right? It was a very specific thing. A casa estava cheia. So when I got to the party, when I arrived at the party, the house was full. A casa estava cheia. So here I use imperfect tense. Why? Because it is not one specific action. Nothing happened. I'm just describing the house. I'm just saying what I saw. Okay, it is a description. It is not an action. A casa estava cheia. It's not an action that happened at a specific moment. It's just like how the house was when I got there. Tinha muitas pessoas. So same explanation here. I'm still describing the party. There were a lot of people. Tinha muitas pessoas. As pessoas estavam felizes. People were happy. I'm describing how they were feeling. I'm not talking about one action that happened. I'm just describing. Nobody did anything. I'm just looking at the people and describing them. So we always use imperfect tense to describe things and people in the past. Quando o João chegou, when João arrived, also one specific action, right? When he arrived, when he got to the party, one action. Eu estava dançando. So here I used estava in imperfect tense plus the dançando, which is the equivalent of the ing form in English. So when João arrived, I was dancing, right? So every time we use, you want to say in English, I was doing this, I was doing that, you're going to use verb estava in imperfect tense plus the main verb in its ing form. In Portuguese, we call it gerúndio, okay? So this is one example of how to use both tenses in the same conversation, right? You use past, regular past tense, perfect tense to talk about specific actions, imperfect tense to talk about things that are not specific, descriptions, habits, or something that was happening. Certo? I hope I answered your question. I hope this example is useful. Do you guys have more questions about this topic? I'm going to give you a couple more tips and I'll have some time at the end to answer your questions. And I forgot to tell you something in the beginning. I'm going to give away at the end of the class, right at the end of the class, I'm going to give away a pronunciation coaching session with me via WhatsApp. So still stay with me until the end and you might be a winner of this pronunciation coaching session, okay? And this class, I know it is a lot of information. I talk in detail about all this topic in my beginner's course and also in my intermediate level course because this topic is important for both beginners and intermediate level students. So my beginner's course, the essential course for beginners, we talk about this. We have a lot of lessons on this topic, and also in my intermediate level course, we also study perfect tense and imperfect tense and I help you a lot with that in my courses. So today the idea is just to give you an idea of how to use these two tenses. You need a lot of practice to really get the idea and really be able to use both tenses, okay? Okay, so let me see. So here, so Caitlin, estava dançando. This is an action, but it is the something that was going on. It is the equivalent to the ing form in English, right? Estava dançando. So every time I use this structure, I was doing this, I was doing that, it is imperfect tense. So we use verb estava in imperfect tense plus the gerúndio, dançando. I'm going to give you a couple of more examples here. Por exemplo, eu estava dançando, I was dancing. Eu estava comendo, I was eating. Sorry, my computer is shaking. Eu estava dormindo, I was sleeping. So all this is called gerúndio. Gerúndio, it is equivalent to the ing form in English. It is something that is continuous, right? It is a present continuous tense. So every time, actually in this case, it is past continuous. So every time we use this continuous tense, we use verb estar. If it is present tense, it is just regular present tense. Eu estou dançando. But if you're using the past tense, it is always imperfect tense. Eu estava dançando. Okay? So the rules when it comes to imperfect tense, that are much less clear. Okay? They are not super simple. If it were simple, it would be easy to explain this to you guys, but there are so many details and so many things that there is not one rule that I just tell you, oh, if it is this way, it is that, and if it is that way, it is that. It is not like that. We have to see case by case, unfortunately. Okay, so more questions. Quando uso estive? So it is very rare to use verb estar in perfect tense. Sometimes we use that. You could say like, ontem eu estive na casa da minha amiga. So yesterday I've been to my friend's house. It is correct, it's not wrong, but I would not say speak that way. I would just say, ontem eu visitei minha amiga. So yesterday I visited my friend. You know, so it's just not common to use, even though the verb exists and it is correct. It is not common to use verb estar in past perfect tense. I'm not saying that you should not use it. I'm just saying it is not common. Brazilians don't use this verb in this tense much. Muito bom. If you guys have more questions, let me know. I'm going to give you a couple more tips. Okay, I'll give you some more tips and then you guys let me know if you still have questions, okay? So a couple of tips on how to use pretérito imperfeito. So just talking about imperfect tense because it's the most complicated one. The test is in Portuguese, but I'm going to explain in English, okay? Because I just did this before the class. I haven't translated yet. So when to use imperfect tense? To talk about a habit you had in the past. For example, to say, when I was a child, I woke up early in the morning. Quando eu era criança, eu acordava cedo de manhã. Number 2, to describe something in the past. So, for example, to describe your childhood house, you're going to use imperfect tense. Number 3, every time you are going to use used to in English. I'm comparing to English because I know it is more this topic is more difficult for those who speak English, okay? It is super easy for Spanish speakers and French speakers because the rules are exactly the same, but for English speakers it's tricky. So number 3, every time, if you say used to in English, in Portuguese is imperfect tense. And another tip, if you can replace the verb for used to in English, you can also use imperfect tense in Portuguese, okay? Same thing for the expression I would plus verb when you're talking about the past, not the future, the past, you're gonna use also imperfect tense in Portuguese. And we commonly use imperfect tense in sentences that start with when I was, quando eu era, quando eu estava. Number 6, to talk about your age in the past, we always use verb ter in imperfect tense. For example, eu tinha 30 anos quando me mudei a Nova York. Eu tinha. You're never gonna say eu tive 30 anos. Always tinha. Always tinha. This is a rule, okay? Number 7, we rarely use verbs ser and estar in perfect tense. These verbs are more commonly used in imperfect tense. I'm not saying we never use, we do use these verbs in perfect tense, but it is not common. So if you're not sure, I recommend you use imperfect tense because there is a big chance the correct usage is imperfect tense. Okay? And number 8, the example that was given a minute ago, we always use when we're talking about the past and you're using verb estar plus gerúndio, the ing, you always use imperfect tense. Eu estava dormindo. Eu estava comendo. Okay? So these tips, I hope they are useful for you guys. Okay, questions. We're reaching the end of the class. So I would like to answer your questions. Okay, so Matt is asking, pra sempre or para sempre, which means forever. What is the difference between the two? In which context you make? There is no difference at all. The meaning is exactly the same. When we speak, we always say pra, pra. So in the end, we started writing pra. Pra didn't exist in the past, so it's a new word. But today it is also accepted in written form, so it means exactly the same. Okay, there is no difference at all. Pra is more colloquial and para a little bit less colloquial. Muito bom. What else, guys? What of all your updates on screen now does also update? No, Cody. No, the file that you have on the website is already saved on PDF, so it is not being updated. The notes, if you wanna, but I also recommend, guys, when you watch my classes, this is a class, right? So you should have. There's a very new technology that I use a lot, which is pen and paper. I recommend you make notes. I don't share all my notes with you, but I recommend you make notes during the class. Okay, guys, more questions do you have? While you think about questions, I can, so if you miss a class, can I watch it on your channel? Yes. So this class will still be available on my YouTube channel, so you can watch it later, and also on my website. So I'm gonna share with you again the page where you can, if you missed in the beginning, I'm gonna share with you the page so you can see where you can download the material. So go to my website, school.speakingbrazilian.com, and click on Brazilian Portuguese Week. Here you can see a replay of the class, and also you can download the material that I use for class. Okay, I recommend you do this. On the material, I also added a lot of exercises that I recommend that you do. And don't forget to go after the class to my Instagram account, which is speaking.brazilian.school, and do the challenge of the day, which is to record a video of yourself saying one sentence in past perfect tense and one sentence in imperfect tense, and share the video, tag the school, and use the hashtag Brazilian Portuguese Week. So I see your video and I'm gonna give you feedback on your pronunciation or anything that you need help with. Okay, so do this on Instagram so I can see you. What else do you have? And while you think about questions, let me see. Brandon says, I want to enroll in the beginner's course, but if I should have enrolled in the pre-intermediate, could that issue be resolved? So yes, if you enroll in one course and in the middle or in the beginning of the course you realize that was not exactly what you're looking for, you have two options. You can just either like ask for a refund. I offer a 30-day money-back guaranteed refund. So you have 30 days to try the course, and if you decide that you don't like it, I just send you a full refund. And the other option is to move to another course. I do that a lot of my students. Sometimes the students, they start in the beginner's course and I realize, oh, this student is too advanced. They should, sometimes I recommend, oh, you should try the more advanced course. And sometimes they email me and ask me to move. So this is completely fine. I just place you in another course and I refund you accordingly if necessary, or I give you a credit. That is completely possible. Okay, so don't be afraid to sign up if you don't know what is the best option for you. And I also offer a placement test if you want if you want our opinion on your level. You can take a placement test. Patricia can share the link for the placement test on the comments, so we can evaluate your level and suggest the best course for you. Okay, Brandon? Muito boa pergunta. What else? So Sina is asking, for a beginner in Portuguese who already speaks Spanish, which course is the best? So unfortunately, I still don't have one course specific for Spanish speakers. I'm planning on creating a course specifically for this audience, but I still don't have that. So classes, so I recommend that, and even if you speak Spanish, even if you can understand well Portuguese, it is very important to start from the beginning, because it is easy to understand, it is not easy to speak. Okay, when you open your mouth to speak Portuguese, you're just going to speak Spanish if you don't study from the beginning. So you need to learn all the basics. So my beginner's course is also recommended for those who speak Spanish. The class is a mix of the teacher uses a little bit of English to explain, to make sure that everyone understands. But even in the first class, you still speak you will already speak a lot of Portuguese. So my beginner's class is recommended for both Spanish speakers, English speakers, and speakers of all other languages. Usually there are people from a lot of different countries in the same class. Okay, so yes, let me see if I have more questions. So Ibrahim is asking about the difference between Brazilian Portuguese and Portugal Portuguese. Well, it is similar to like American English and British English. Yeah, of course it is. I made a video about this on my YouTube channel. I recommend you take a look. It's super fun. Okay, I'm looking for more questions here, guys. So Rob said that someone asked about payment plan. Yeah, all my courses, they offer the option of a payment plan. I'm going to show you where you find this. So this is my courses page, my beginner's course. You click on the course and then you have a lot of information about the course here. If you click enroll in course, you see all the tiers, all the options. And here you have an option with a payment plan. Okay, you just click here and then enroll. And then you can pay the course in 3 installments once a month. Okay, so this was an important class. Any other question that you saw that was important about this topic? Okay, so looking for more questions that you have, guys. Thank you so much for participating and asking all these questions. So Sarah is asking, what are the most used tenses in Portuguese? Actually, Sarah talked about this yesterday. Yesterday's lesson was about verb conjugation, and I talked about the 5 main verb tenses that you need to learn as a beginner. There are many other tenses and modes, but I did an overview last class. So I recommend you go back to my YouTube channel or my website and watch the class that was yesterday's class, okay, about this topic. Looking for more questions, guys. Thank you so much for asking these questions so we can talk. I've done a bit about Brazilian gírias. I have many videos about expressions on my channel. I recommend you take a look. And I will teach a class about Brazilian expressions at the end of this week on Friday. Okay, so this is going to be a fun class for you.
Times of Hills Fernandez. It's on the screen.
Hills Fernandez is asking. So I stay in UK and I work night shift. So what are the best timings to take the course, and how do I know where do I stand, what course to take? So I offer a lot of options so that you can choose from here. So you can choose, actually all the lessons, they are recorded and you have access on the website. If you cannot attend a live class, you can always watch a replay. So this is one important thing that you need to know. Of course, I recommend that you attend the live classes because they're very useful. But if you miss a class, you can watch a replay on the website. I offer options that are useful, that are good for those who live in the Eastern time and also other time zones. So there are options available that are good for those who live in Europe. I have actually a lot of students from the UK. So I'm going to show you the options that I have available for my beginners course, for instance. So these are the live class slots available for my beginners class. So there is one class on Tuesdays at 7, Wednesdays at 7, Thursdays at 12, and Sundays at 10. So these two last options, they are options that would be good options for you, right? So this is New York time, so you have to add 5 or 6 hours, I'm not sure, to see your time to your time zone. So I think these two options would be good options for you. And about where do I stand and what course to take. So regarding what course to take, if you're not sure what your level is, I recommend you take my placement test. See if you find the link for the placement test in the chat. If you don't find, just go to my website, speakingbrazilian.com, and you find a placement test there, or just email me and I'll send you the correct link for the placement test, and I'll give you, I recommend the best option, the best course for you. Okay?
About payment and course, brown up on top. When the payment happens, it's the first day.
So looking for more questions, guys.
Course from RMT.
Just looking, just give me 1 second.
Does the first payment come out on the day we pay?
So there's someone asking about the payment plan. Does the first payment come out on the day we pay? Yes. So if you sign up today, your first payment would be today. If you can either use credit card or PayPal, so that depends on the method that you choose to use. And the next payment, if you sign up with a payment plan, the next payment would be one month later, and then 1 month later. Okay. What else, guys? So many questions. Sim, so Gerard is asking, eu moro no Chile, mas quero me mudar a um país e quero provar se tenho um bom nível para trabalhar em português. Que teste pode me recomendar tomar? To test your level. Well, we have this placement test that we do. It is a very simple test that we use to recommend the best course based on my school. But if you want to take a test that is like more professional level, I recommend CELP-BRAS. CELP-BRAS with a C. CELP-BRAS is the test that you want to take at a professional level to test your level of Portuguese. Okay? Muito bom, guys. Do you have any other questions about my courses or any other question? I'm sorry if I have not read all your comments. There are so many comments and it is hard to read everything. If you have any questions about my courses that I haven't answered, please email me. My email is virginia@speakingbrazilian.com. virginia@speakingbrazilian.com. I see that Patricia just posted the placement test link in the chat, so please take a look at that. So Ruan is asking the questions about the porqués. This is a longer topic, Ruan, but I actually made a video specifically about this. You'll find it on my YouTube channel. Look for it. I talk about 4 porqués, os 4 porqués, and I explain in detail when to use the 4 porqués. What else, guys? Tá perguntando de onde a Patrícia. Patrícia, guys, she works with me. She helps me a lot with a lot of things. I also have another teacher working with me. I'm not sure she's in the chat today. Her name is Alexandra. So Patricia and Alexandra, they work with me, and they will also be teaching the live classes. Patricia is from Curitiba in the south, and Alexandra is from São Paulo, a city close to the big city to São Paulo. Okay. Just taking a look. So Katia is asking, is the pre-intermediate class in Portuguese? So the pre-intermediate class is about 80% in Portuguese, so a little bit in English, but not much. In the beginning, the structure will use a little bit of English just to explain the rules of the workshop, how it works, but then it's going to be mostly Portuguese. The idea is to make you get used to the language and speak a lot of Portuguese. So there is a little bit of English just to make sure that everyone understands, but then as the course advances, you will be speaking more and more. The teachers will be speaking more and more in Portuguese in class, okay? And the intermediate class, it is 100% in Portuguese. Speaking Brazilian Academy is 100% in Portuguese. Okay, so Joshua is asking, is the beginner course in English? It is a mix of English and Portuguese. The explanation is always in English because there are a lot of beginners that cannot understand, right? So if you are a complete beginner and if you don't understand anything, don't worry, you will be able to follow the class. But there is also a lot of Portuguese in class because we bring questions like basic, we explain the content and then we practice. So it is interesting, you have the explanation in English, but you also practice a lot of Portuguese in class since the first class, okay? So yeah, so it's a mix of Portuguese and English, and you are always free to ask questions in English if you have questions. So how do I pronounce your surname? So my last name is Langhammer. In Brazil, I pronounce Langhammer. In the US, I pronounce Langhammer, but the original pronunciation is actually in German, which is Langhammer. Langhammer. You can choose the one that you like the most. Muito bom, gente. Very good questions. Looking if you have more questions about the courses.
Are we going to have just one teacher between you three per month?
So Adrian is asking, sorry for it, but I can understand perfectly when you speak in English, but is it difficult for me to speak it? Will it be very difficult for me to take your basic course? No, Adrian, you don't have to be fluent in English to take the basic course. It is important that you understand because the teacher is going to explain a few things in English. All my videos actually that you find in the courses pages are 100% in Portuguese with subtitles in English and Portuguese. Only the live classes, we use a little bit of English to explain to make sure that everyone is following the class. But you don't have to speak English. You can send your questions via chat if you want. You can if you speak Spanish, you can try to ask your question in Spanish because my teachers, they all understand Spanish too. So don't worry with that, okay? You don't have to be fluent in English to attend the class, but it is important that you can at least understand the explanation in English for the live classes, okay? Muito bom. What else? I'm looking for more questions, guys. So many comments. That's amazing. Thank you so much for joining us, guys. I'm looking for... so one more question from Nino. Are we going to have just one teacher between the 3 months? So yes, we are going to have the same teacher depending on the class that you choose. So if you choose, let's say you choose Thursdays at 12 p.m., you're going to have classes with teacher Patricia, and she'll be your teacher for the entire course, and she'll be helping you. But you also have one class with me once a month. It is a review class and a Q&A session. So once a month you have a class with me, and sometimes when a teacher is not available, another teacher can replace and teach the class. But this is an exception. So yeah, so you have always the same teacher, which is good because then the teacher can help you and doing the entire course. But you always have access to me too, at least once a month, and also via email and WhatsApp. And we have a WhatsApp group that is super fun with all the students and the teachers. So we always actually, you will be in contact actually with all the teachers all the time via WhatsApp, okay? Muito bom. So Damien, send me an email with your question. I'm gonna send you a link with the books that I recommend that you use to study grammar. Okay, there is a very good book. It depends a lot on what you're looking for. If you want a grammar 100% in Portuguese or in English Portuguese, send me an email and I'm gonna send you the links that I recommend for books. Okay.
Artist Temple.
Just looking. Just give me 1 second, looking for more questions. Muito bom, guys. Thank you so much. So Rob is talking about a question. Eu não consigo achar as perguntas que você fala. Okay, guys. So now we're reaching the end of the class, and now I'm gonna make the giveaway that I promised you. So we're going to do a giveaway of a pronunciation coaching session with me. This coaching session is via WhatsApp. It is very useful. I'm going to help you to improve your pronunciation in very specific details. So now Patricia is going to choose someone from the audience to receive this pronunciation coaching session with me. So just give me 1 second. I'm going to look and see if Patricia already chose someone from the audience. Okay. So, okay, Patricia told me that Shannon cannot sign up. I saw your email, Shannon. I'm going to answer your email and explain how to join the course soon. If you have any troubles joining the course to download the material, just email me and I'm going to help you, okay? So I'm just looking for Patricia's. Okay, so Patricia, so Don Christie, you are the winner of the giveaway. So send me an email and I'm gonna send you more information about how to work, how this giveaway, how this pronunciation coaching session is going to work. My email is virginia@speakingbrazilian.com, virginia@speakingbrazilian.com. Thank you so much, guys, for joining me today. Don't forget to go to my Instagram account and do the challenge. It is going to be fun, and I'll be there and watch all the videos and give you feedback on your videos. Don't forget to tag me and use the hashtag Brazilian Portuguese Week. If you have any questions about my courses, email me. I think I haven't answered all your questions because it is difficult to find the questions. Email me, virginia@speakingbrazilian.com, virginia@speakingbrazilian.com. And that's it, guys. I'll see you tomorrow. I'm very excited. I'll still be here tomorrow, and I'll be here with you until the end of the week. This is a very fun and excellent week for me, and I hope I'll see you tomorrow. Beijo. Tchau, tchau.